Did you know your brain goes into repair mode while you sleep? It's not just rest, it's essential maintenance. But here's the catching: if you're watching TV, scrolling through your phone, or browsing your tablet right before bed, you may be blocking that recovery process entirely. And if you're over 65, the damage can compound faster than you think. Let me explain. Our screens, whether it's your television, your phone, or even that Kindle with a backlight, emit a type of light called blue light. This light mimics daylight and tells your brain it's not time to sleep yet. The result? Your brain suppresses melatonin, the very hormone that helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. Now, why does this matter? Because deep sleep is when your brain flushes out waste, including a toxic protein called beta-amyloid, which is heavily linked to Alzheimer's disease. When your brain doesn't get enough of this deep, restorative sleep, that cleanup doesn't happen. And over time, those toxins build up, silently aging your brain from the inside out. There's a system inside your brain called the glymphatic system. Think of it like your brain's night janitor. It's only fully active during deep sleep, and it plays a critical role in flushing out cellular waste. But here's the thing: this system only kicks in when your melatonin levels are high and your brain is fully at rest. So you watching an action show at 9:30 p.m. or scrolling through Facebook in bed, you might feel like you're relaxing, but your brain is actually being stimulated at a time when it needs to power down and detox. And for people over 65, the impact is even greater. Melatonin levels naturally decline with age. That means your brain already has to work harder to fall and stay asleep. So when you introduce blue light into the mix, you're putting even more stress on a system that's trying to repair itself. It's not just about falling asleep. It's about protecting your brain's long-term health. And every hour of lost deep sleep is like skipping an oil change for your mind. As we age, our brain and body both go through subtle, and not so subtle, changes. One of the most overlooked is how much harder it becomes to recover from even small lifestyle stressors. And when it comes to evening screen time, the impact isn't just slightly worse for older adults, it's exponentially more harmful. Here's why. By the time you're in your 60s or 70s, your melatonin production has already declined naturally. I never thought I'd say this. That means your body doesn't win as easily in the evenings as it did when you were younger. You might notice it takes longer to fall asleep, or that you wake up more frequently during the night. And that's without even factoring in screen exposure. Now add the artificial stimulation from watching a screen. Bright light, rapid movement, sound, and emotional content. It tricks your brain into staying alert at a time it's supposed to be powering down. The result? Shallower sleep, shorter deep sleep cycles, and more fragmented rest. But it doesn't stop there. At this age, your brain is less resilient to damage. Your ability to clear toxins slows. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for memory, decision-making, and attention, becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and stress. So when sleep quality declines, cognitive symptoms appear faster and you forget names or appointments more often. You lose track of conversations. You feel mentally foggy or easily overwhelmed. This isn't just normal aging. This is the compounding effect of poor eating habits slowly eating away at your cognitive health. And here's the silent danger, because these changes happen gradually. Many older adults write it off as just getting older, when in fact, it's a preventable issue. The evening habit you think is helping you relax, a late show, a bit of news, a scroll through social media, might actually be silently accelerating your brain's aging process. But the good news is, it's not too late to reverse course. Many older adults end their day with a routine that feels relaxing, sitting in front of the TV, scrolling through their phone, or catching up on YouTube or social media. After all, it's quiet, passive, and doesn't take much effort. What could be the harm? But here's the shocking truth. What feels like winding down is actually winding your brain up and draining it even further. Let's break it down. Your brain, especially after 65, is more sensitive to cognitive fatigue, a form of exhaustion that builds up silently when your mind is constantly processing new information, flashing images, or rapid storylines. Even if you're not doing anything, your brain is still working overtime to take it all in. And unlike physical fatigue, which you can feel in your muscles, mental fatigue is deceptive. You might sit still on the couch for hours, but afterward feel more irritable, forgetful, or foggy. That's not coincidence. That's prefrontal cortex burnout. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for high-level thinking, memory, focus, emotional control, and constant evening stimulation, even mild, keeps this area active, not resting. So while you believe you're relaxing, your brain is actually being overloaded with low-level stress. That stress shows up in subtle but serious ways: difficulty focusing the next day, shorter attention span, forgetting where you put things, feeling overwhelmed by small tasks. One woman, 72, said she felt more off every morning, foggy-headed, impatient, and drained. She blamed aging. But after she replaced evening TV with light journaling and reading, her mental clarity improved within a week. "I didn't realize how noisy my nights were," she said. Here's the truth: no one tells you passive screen time isn't rest. It's noise your brain still has to process, and it's robbing you of true mental recovery. Every time you flip on a show, scroll social media, or even play a simple game on your phone in the evening, something very powerful is happening inside your brain. And it all comes down to dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It's released when you experience something novel, exciting, or pleasurable. It's also behind the satisfaction you feel when finishing a good movie or scrolling through funny videos. But here's the catch: the constant microbursts of dopamine from evening screen time, especially after 65, start to reprogram your brain's reward system. How? Think of dopamine like a currency. When you constantly spend it on short-term, low-value rewards, like scrolling or binge watching, your brain starts to require more and more stimulation just to feel normal. This leads to decreased motivation the next day, shorter attention spans, a harder time enjoying simple pleasures, like reading, gardening, or conversation, and for older adults, this effect can be even more destructive. That's because the dopamine system naturally declines with age, meaning you already have less currency to spend. So when you drain it every night with flashy, fast-paced content, you're left with a brain that feels unmotivated in the morning, easily distracted, emotionally flat, or irritable. This isn't just about being tired. It's about how your evening habits are stealing your ability to focus, feel joy, and stay mentally sharp. And while it might not feel dramatic in the moment, this slow erosion of attention and reward sensitivity adds up over weeks, months, and years. A retired engineer once told me, "I used to love chess and woodworking, but lately I just scroll and feel nothing." When he cut his evening screen time, those old interests came back, slowly but surely. Your brain is still capable of focus, creativity, and joy, but it needs the right conditions, and dopamine hygiene is one of the most powerful and most overlooked parts of brain aging. This last point may be the most overlooked and the most dangerous. You've probably heard of inflammation before. It's the body's natural response to stress, infection, or injury. But as we age, a slow, creeping form of inflammation begins to build in the background, what scientists now call inflammaging. And your evening habits may be secretly making it worse. Here's how it works. When your brain is exposed to artificial light late at night, especially blue light from phones, tablets, and TVs, it doesn't just affect melatonin and sleep. It also disrupts your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that tells your body when to repair, digest, and restore. When this clock gets thrown off, your body misfires. Hormones go out of sync, blood sugar regulation becomes impaired, and the immune system gets confused, triggering low-grade inflammatory responses even when there's no infection or injury. Over time, this inflammation can begin silently damaging neurons in the brain, particularly in areas related to memory, mood, and decision-making. And if you're over 65, you're more vulnerable than ever. Why? Because the brain's ability to clear inflammatory byproducts slows with age. So instead of repairing itself overnight, the brain may actually be stewing in leftover stress signals. Night after night. What does this look like in real life? You wake up feeling unrested. Even after 8 hours, you feel more anxious or down without knowing why. You notice brain fog, slower recall, or emotional sensitivity. These aren't just signs of aging. They're signs of nighttime inflammation subtly interfering with your brain's performance. But here's the hopeful part. When older adults reduce screen exposure in the evening, even by just 30 to 60 minutes, they often report clearer thinking in the morning, improved mood, better sleep quality, and more energy during the day. The solution isn't complex. It's about giving your brain the space and silence to heal, without artificial stimulation getting in the way. Because after 65, every night counts, and the habits you choose in the evening could be the difference between a brain that slowly fades and one that stays sharp, focused, and full of life.